The city burned beneath a merciless sun. Heat waves rippled off asphalt like warnings from the earth itself. Downtown was boiling, its buildings, its streets, its people. Protesters surged through the plaza, chanting justice for a man shot 6 times in the back by police the week before. No arrests had been made. The rage was thick, electric. Judge Marlene Stokes stepped out of a boutique coffee shop called Bean and Brew, her suit immaculate, her federal badge tucked away in her purse. No robe, no clerk, just a tired woman needing coffee and 5 minutes of peace from the storm she usually ruled from a bench. She was unaware that she was walking straight into the storm. Her plan was simple: reach her car and avoid the crowd. She stayed clear of the shouting, walking close to the storefronts. Her iced latte sweated in her hand. Behind her, the rhythmic clop of horses cut through the chants. A mounted patrol was moving in, the horses restless, their riders rigid and alert. Tension licked the air. Officer Darren Collier rode at the front. His eyes swept the sidewalk like searchlights. As he approached, he locked eyes with Marlene, then stopped abruptly. "Move," he barked. She blinked, stunned. "I'm not in anyone's way," she said calmly. It was the composure that set him off. Collier didn't shout again. He raised his baton and swung, the hard rubber cracking against her shoulder. Her cup fell. The coffee exploded on the concrete. Pain bloomed instantly across her collarbone. The crowd gasped. Phones were raised. Seriously? Marlene clutched her shoulder, face twisted in disbelief. Collier spurred his horse forward. The animal nudged her back. She stumbled, fell to one knee, hands scraping the sidewalk. "Get away from me," she cried, but more officers closed in. One grabbed her arm. Another shoved her down with a knee pressed to her back. "I'm a federal judge," she said, voice firm. "Marlene Stokes. You're making a mistake." But no one listened. Or maybe they didn't care that a young cop pressed his forearm across her neck, his weight crushing. Handcuffs bit into her wrists. The crowd was dead silent now. The moment sealed in dozens of recording phones. She was dragged to a van. Someone shouted, "What did she do?" "Nothing," came the reply. She did absolutely nothing. Inside the police van, the heat was suffocating. Marlene lay on the floor, wrists swollen, face pressed to metal. But her mind was already working. She wasn't broken. She was calculating that the precinct, the machinery of processing kicked in. No one read her rights. Her name wasn't taken. Her ID, untouched in her purse, was ignored. They fingerprinted her, photographed her under cold lights. Blood crusted beneath her nose. A bruise was forming along her cheek. They threw her in a holding cell. No water, no toilet paper, just flickering lights and a buzzing fan overhead. She sat, cross-armed, trembling with fury, not fear. By morning, she was released. No apology, no charge, just her zip-tied purse tossed on a counter. Home. Marlene faced the mirror. Her shoulder was purple. Her lip split. Her eyes bloodshot. She took pictures. Evidence, not vengeance. Then she saw the statement. A woman interfered with mounted patrol and resisted orders. Her name wasn't mentioned. An edited video showed her raising a hand, cut right before the baton hit. She didn't go to the press. She went to her laptop. Her first move was surgical. A court order demanding preservation of all footage, radio transmissions, and body cam data from a scene. She knew how quickly police footage malfunctioned, but she didn't stop there. Her legal team, many of them former clerks, filed motions, training records, officer histories, internal logs. The city dragged its feet, redacted names, claimed technical errors, provided files that said nothing. Then a breakthrough. An anonymous email hit her assistant's inbox. "You don't know me, but I know what they're hiding." Attached, 67 pages of internal police messages. A name, Marcus Wynn, a former officer turned whistleblower. He revealed they knew exactly who she was. Within 30 minutes of the arrest, they had made a choice: treat her as an unknown civilian to control the narrative. The command? Delay identifying her until media damage could be minimized. But there was more. Wynn shared an uncut video 4 minutes of raw footage from a secondary angle on Collier's horse. The department had claimed that camera wasn't active. They lied. The footage showed everything. Her calm steps, 6 feet from the horse. Collier's unnecessary command. Her reasonable response. The sudden, violent baton strike. Her cry. The takedown. Her repeated claim. I'm federal Judge Marlene Stokes. No resistance. No threats. Just sheer brutality. The video leaked online one Tuesday morning. Quietly, just a link. By noon, it was everywhere. Hashtag we saw Judge Stokes. Hashtag justice for Marlene. Hashtag say her name again. The hashtags surged across timelines. Civil rights groups demanded investigations. News networks aired her story unedited, some issuing formal apologies for prior doubts. Marlene didn't issue a statement. She didn't need to. She simply returned to court, still bruised, still walking. But what had cracked wide open could not be closed again. Marlene Stokes filed her civil lawsuit with the precision of a scalpel. She named the city, the department, individual officers, and the officials who had deliberately leaked her sealed medical history. A desperate attempt to undermine her by dredging up a decades-old hospitalization from her youth, when she had been grieving her brother's death. They offered her a 6-figure settlement in exchange for silence. I will not trade my voice for money, she responded. This is about accountability, not compensation. The attacks escalated. A tabloid questioned her mental stability, citing unnamed sources and whispering about emotional fragility. The police union held a vague press conference hinting at the dangers of instability in public leadership, without saying her name, but saying everything nonetheless. Online, anonymous accounts dissected her rulings, her past, her silence. They wanted her to break. She didn't. Marlene refused interviews, podiums, cameras. Her answer came through the courts. Her team filed additional lawsuits, one for unlawful retaliation, another for the deliberate leak of confidential health records. They named names. They provided timelines. They left no ambiguity. The hearings began in a packed municipal courtroom. No press badges were denied. Journalists, students, mothers with children, all sat shoulder to shoulder. They weren't spectators. They were witnesses. On the third day, Marlene herself took the stand. She wore a navy blazer, no robe, no title. She spoke plainly. She told the story as it happened. No theatrics, no fury, just facts. Collier's voice, the baton, the cuffs. Her identity repeated and ignored. Her bruises, her silence. When asked why she had rejected the money, she paused. Because silence buys nothing but more silence, she said. This was never about dollars. It was about truth. The room didn't applaud. They didn't have to. The silence after her words said everything. The consequences came quickly. The mounted patrol unit was disbanded. The horses were reassigned to therapeutic centers. Baton strikes to the head or torso were banned. Officers were required to verify identities immediately upon detainment. The police chief resigned quietly. The union president was ousted after internal audits revealed misused funds and coordinated disinformation. A federal consent decree placed the department under full oversight, with civilian monitors, independent reviews, and subpoena power. But Marlene didn't claim credit. She didn't step on late-night shows. She didn't accept speaking engagements or magazine covers. She returned to her courtroom, quiet, composed, unchanged and yet transformed. Her name began appearing in case law. Stokes versus City of Langford became a precedent cited in civil rights complaints, labor suits, even family custody cases involving police misconduct. Her case opened doors for others who'd been silenced. Those without badges, titles, or platforms. That a coalition of civil rights attorneys moved to investigate systemic abuse in the department. New plaintiffs joined, a teenager, a retired veteran, a single mother. Their stories echoed hers, of pain, humiliation, and buried reports. Then came the indictments. Officer Darren Collier was charged with civil rights violations and obstruction of justice. 2 sergeants were cited for evidence tampering. Chief Phelps, now retired, was questioned under oath. The city scrambled as headlines rolled in. Consent decree finalized. Chief under scrutiny, officers indicted. And yet, Marlene's courtroom remained calm. The only headline that mattered there, justice continues. One evening, walking home, she passed a mural, her face painted in muted grays, eyes forward. Not heroic, just human. A woman walking by whispered, "Thank you, Marlene." Marlene nodded and kept walking. That night, her inbox overflowed with messages. Survivors, mothers, daughters, people who'd been harmed and never heard. People who said only, "We're watching. We believe you." Marlene closed her laptop. This wasn't a victory. It wasn't closure. It was a fault line, one that had split open a sealed system. She returned to her desk and drafted a policy proposal: judicial oversight of arrest protocols, body cam retention mandates, independent disciplinary boards. No cameras watched, no microphones recorded, just her working. "I'm not finished," she whispered to herself. And she meant it. They had tried to erase her name, reduce her to a file, a mugshot, a cautionary tale. They failed. Now, Marlene Stokes was more than a judge. She was a turning point, a crack in the wall, and that wall would never be whole again.